Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here. Time for another Patreon-sponsored blind reaction. And this one comes to you courtesy of Minutid02, who has requested that I react to my top 10 main characters in anime by Nux Taku. So yeah, another video from Nux Taku. I think I looked at one of his before, I believe about Gravity Falls, though now we're talking anime. And it's my top 10 main characters in anime, which could be an interesting list, especially since it is top 10 main characters. That makes it quite a bit different than just top 10 characters, period. A lot more specialized when we're only talking protagonists here. And it would definitely make the list a lot harder for me to compile, because I'm not really someone who's ever particularly drawn to the main character. I mean, I guess there are exceptions, but just typically speaking, the main character is rarely my favorite in an anime. Though there are a lot of them, there are a lot of main characters that I do like, even if they're not my favorite. And surprising absolutely no one. A lot of the main characters that do stand out to me a lot are the female ones. I think my absolute ideal of a main character in anime is Mikoto Misaka from A Certain Scientific Railgun, though I also really like Madoka from Madoka Magica, and Ryuko from Kill la Kill, Akko, Little Witch Academia, Akane from Psycho-Pass, Kobayashi from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. Who else? Well, recently Emma in The Promised Neverland was pretty cool, and yeah, there are a lot of other ones. And to be fair, there are not a lot, but there are definitely also some male main characters that I have rather enjoyed. I'm not completely all about the girls here. I really love Kiritsugu in Fate Zero, and Okabe in Steins Gate, and Lelouch, Code Geass, Spike, Cowboy Bebop. I don't know. There are some names I can name, so that's gotta be worth something. But yeah, not really sure. I mean, this is the first anime-related video I've seen from Nux Taku, so I'm not really sure what his tastes are exactly, but I'm interested to find out what's on his list, and see what familiar names there are. Yeah, should be fun. So let's get started and find out. Here we go.
Yo, what's happening, fanbase?
Goku.
I kind of feel like I'd get used to it after a while as my
Yeah,
channel
Goku would
is
not
growing,
make my list.
But hitting 300,000 subscribers is freaking insane. Like, thinking about it actually
That is pretty
makes my
insane.
heart
I just
well
did
up
50,000,
with
by the way.
happiness. I'm really
Thank you guys for
grateful
that.
to each and every one of you that subscribed until this point.
Subscribbled.
Something I like seeing in YouTubers that I'm personally a fan of is their personal opinion on things and an actual ranking of what they
Yeah, I need to
like
make some
instead
ranking
of just
videos.
baseless, oh, I like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So I'm really glad I
do
came
like
up with the
JoJo.
idea that every 100,000 subscriber milestone, at least until 1 million, if I
Joseph's
get
a pretty
there
cool
will
main
be
character.
a personal top 10 list. At 100K, I did top 10 anime, which
Oh.
is a different list right now.
There's
and
Lelouch.
I'll probably change when I hit some other milestone, maybe. And my 200K special was my top 10 more controversial anime opinions. So that said, I figured today I'll talk about my top 10 anime main characters of all time. And maybe at 400K, I'll be doing top 10 anime villains ever. So if you're curious to see that, feel free to subscribe and share with your friends. I'm telling myself that you like it when I do this. I don't know if I'm deluding myself or not, and I'd like to hear in the comments, because I'm under the impression that you like it, that you get a personalized top 10 for every milestone. I could be completely wrong and be utterly deluding myself. That's a complete valid possibility. It's just the type of thing I'd like to see other people do, so I figured, I guess, you'd maybe like
Makes
to see
sense.
me do it.
Well,
Anywho, without further ado, number 10 on my list,
Oh.
just barely beating Lelouch. Oh, I'm so upset he didn't make top 10.
How did he not make list?
And now before we continue, I must warn you, any character I really thought about or really did analyses on, I end up liking better. I've never done a Lelouch analysis, for example. At least not yet. So
Lelouch
this
is
list
awesome.
is bound to change, as did my top anime list of all time. But as we stand right now, Luffy is my 10th favorite main character in all of anime. And the main reason I think of him so highly is because of his fascinating morality. I know I told you a long time ago I was planning planning on eventually making a morality of Luffy video, and I still kind of plan on making it, just so many things came up in between. And I did do a video on Luffy and his viewpoint as far as discrimination goes. Honestly, I figured that would be kind of enough, because that is a large part of why I find his morality so fascinating. Of course, it wasn't enough, because once I ever say something, you'll hold it over my head until the day I die. Once again, thank you so much for 300,000 subscribers. It means the world to me, and I love all of you guys. But you have scenes in One Piece where Luffy kills completely innocent people. Or, well, we don't see him kill them, because we never see main shonen characters ever kill anyone. But pushing the guards and impel down into the boiling vats of blood and magma and whatever, yeah, I don't think they did too good after they got out. If they got out. I'm trying to say Luffy isn't your run-of-the-mill typical really nice guy. He'll do what he wants, and he will go by his moral compass. When it involves stealing food from the oppressive Wano government and giving it to a town of poor people, he's stealing! But he deems it moral and correct. His goal to become Pirate King is completely unlike most other shonen protagonist goals. Like, you have Naruto who wants to become Hokage, and he did it for the respect it garnered. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. For a 12-year-old kid who spent his childhood suffering due to society hating him with a passion, him wanting to become the village leader for the prestige of the position is totally justified. Luffy doesn't care about prestige. He doesn't care about how people regard him. He wants to be the freest man on the sea, and to do that, he wants to become the king. When his fleet wants to join him, he doesn't even necessarily want the fleet. Thousands of people. It's a powerful force. But that's not him. He wants them to seek their own freedom, and he wants his own freedom. His morality of considering every race a complete equal, becoming friends with the fishmen, and punching a celestial dragon with one of the most satisfying punches of all of anime, because he deemed at that moment that that dude was a bad dude, despite the consequences that were absolutely going to befall him. Yeah, I'll probably still do a full morality and Luffy video, but here was a taste of it. Don't expect it for a little while. I'm working on other One Piece stuff before that one. But I freaking love Luffy as my 10th favorite main character of all time. And in 9th place, we have Joestar.
Okay, there we go.
Protagonist of
Best JoJo so far.
The great JoJo's Bizarre Adventure franchise. As far as battle anime in general, I am always drawn to a character that thinks through his fights. Unlike every other part of JoJo's, where even though, yes, Dio is stronger than Jotaro, they're kind of in the same playing field. Or yes, Dio is stronger than Jonathan, but they're in the same playing field. Kira and Josuke each have their own individual strengths, and all of those final battles are completely fantastic. Joseph is up against the Pillarmen, who are far beyond his
completely beyond it.
Through every single fight.
Sometimes he just gets lucky,
which is also a massive plus. If you know me by now, I like them asshole characters.
Megumin?
He's vibrant, he's hilarious, he has no sense of honor. I hate honor. I mean, I'm kind of working on a video on why I like anime characters with no sense of honor, so we'll get into that another time. But even as far as his first fight in the series, he's up against a vampire, which, as we know from the end of part 1, those guys are really powerful, and humans should not really stand a chance. He locates the vampire, he doesn't even give the vampire a chance to speak, and he immediately pulls out a
This was amazing. Best, one of the best JoJo moments, period.
Vampire barely gets up. He chucks a grenade at Vampire Dude. Vampire Dude throws the grenade back, which had strings attached to a ton of other grenades that were already attached to his back, and pulled the pins off all of them and blew him to smithereens. That is an anime fight! Sorry for yelling. I freaking love my job. And of course, let's not forget his ultimate technique. He doesn't mind running away when he needs to. On a superficial level, he's literally everything I want.
Interesting.
Main character. He is my ideal main character. But as I said, that's on the superficial level. And as far as his superficial personality, that's why he's number 9 on the list.
He's pretty cool in part 3 too.
Has its own sense of beauty. Kind of hits me on the personal level. You can expect a video eventually on every single character that I actually have on this top 10. Please don't hold it over my head. I will remember, so stay tuned. Number 7 for the final shonen character on the list. Well, aside from one that you all already know who I chose, but it's Meliodas from the 7 Deadly Sins. An
expecting more shonen.
Underappreciated character from a series that's honestly taken very lightly and very surface level. There is a lot.
I hope to see that eventually.
7 Deadly Sins that people do not talk about due to the sheer bombacity of the storytelling and the power scaling fluctuations.
Tends to do pretty well in the polls.
Exactly the aspect of Meliodas I really like, and why he's one of the most tortured souls of all of anime. It will get into heavy spoilers that I don't really want to be spoiling. Letting it come naturally as far as watching the story definitely hits you harder. He's a character that always keeps a straight face and always seems calm, collected, and rather content. But the pain under that facade is not to be disregarded. A lot of people have personal experience with the drawbacks of living through life making believe everything is hunky freaking dory, when in actuality inside you're in utter turmoil, and no one knows that better and as extensively as Meliodas. Number 6 is Kazuma.
Okay.
Konosuba, a totally different type of character.
Yeah?
Oh boy. Konosuba is one of my favorite anime altogether, and it's
pretty good.
along by Kazuma. It's the funniest anime I could think of since like Nichijou, and I'm obviously not
Nichijou's
including
awesome.
Gintama into that because you can never really include Gintama into everything, and it always freaking wins. Spoilers. But the thing I completely
the thing with Kazuma is that he's
Kazuma is, you know how every
kind of
isekai is set up? The framework is to draw you into the world. It's the ultimate fantasy.
just
You have
not
the
as interesting as
character
other
who becomes
characters.
OP, he gets the harem. It's all adding to the escapist nature of the genre. Now, the
all
beauty
about the
of
other
Kazuma
three.
is, what if everything about isekai anime was there, except Kazuma was a totally realistic human being? And that is exactly the beauty of Konosuba. He's not OP, but everything else around him happens. He gets his harem, granted the most, let's just say special harem of all time, but it is
Gotta
a
love
harem
darkness.
nonetheless, and I'm in love with all of them. Once again, Kazuma's an asshole, and we know my opinion about assholes. Yeah, that can't possibly be taken out of context in any strange way whatsoever. He gets new powers in this isekai world. No, they are by no means OP, but yes, he does use them to their fullest abilities. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. Huge enough of a fan for him to be my 7th favorite main character in all of anime, and I doubt the writer even intended that to happen. That's how good of a character he is. Moving on. 6th place, we got our whammon, Homura Akemi from Madoka.
Is she really the main character?
Here's the thing. Madoka Magica had its hype in 2011 before I even started my channel. And if this would be 2011,
I would say
delve
Madoka
into this
is
character. In fact,
main
if it was
character.
2013, where the sequel
I guess
was
it's more
revealed for
Homura's
Madoka
story in a
Magica, and
way.
that movie, Rebellion, was god tier. Again,
was?
I would talk about this character. The thing is, I don't want to ruin anything about this character, because by the fact that I'm mentioning that she is the main character of this series, it's already a spoiler to an extent.
I
You
mean-
don't realize she's the main character until more than halfway through the show, and that's only the beginning. Her character is so fleshed out in the Rebellion movie sequel, especially with that godly ending.
Yeah.
There's no way she cannot be on this list. Don't
I
say
guess it
anything
works. I mean, I would.
anything, because I personally love the Madoka Magica series.
My
Watch
favorite
3
anime.
episodes before you say anything. Highest of recommendations.
Mine too.
along with the movie
Go watch
sequel.
it.
Time to
Go
enter
watch
the
it.
top 5.
Favorite anime of all time.
Kiritsugu, the main
Okay,
character.
so he has similar taste to me.
2/3 way through the show, we're introduced to Kiritsugu's backstory through flashback, and it's my favorite flashback backstory of
Yeah.
all. Alright, we learned the
Amazing.
suffering, how he grew up, and eventually had to take the life of his own father, proceeding to live with his teacher, who would teach him to be some form of assassin. The utilitarianism that are amplified in his character are clearly born from these past experiences, as, well, spoiler happens at the end of the little flashback.
Probably my favorite
And it's the
male character
saddest
in all
thing
anime.
ever. When I think the word utilitarianism, I think of Kiritsugu's character, because that's how he was brought up through fate. It's not someone that taught it to him, it's the experiences he's had that molded him into the person he is today, as he enters a holy grail war. He uses every trick in the book, dirty or otherwise, to get the results he feels like would push the world towards its salvation. He needs to win the grail war for the sake of the world. So therefore, all the meaningless, little, terrible actions and immoral choices he makes are for the greater good. As the series progresses, he holds my undying admiration as far as this stoic, badass, utilitarianistic main character. And then fate spits in his face at the end of the series, essentially teaching the lesson that there is no correct ideal. I love everything about Kiritsugu's character. Everything.
He's
Even
great.
at the time of recording this right now, I'm looking at my list and I can't believe he's only number 5.
Yeah,
God damn
that
it,
seems
I
low.
can't move him any higher. But god damn it, I want to move him higher. It's just I never made a video on Kiritsugu yet, whereas I already have either planned videos or written videos on the next 4 characters on this list, and therefore they're just higher for that reason alone. But respect Kiritsugu, respect Fate Zero. Thank you for being of the best
Great
anime
anime.
ever, in any use of the term. In 4th place, a very different character, Saitama from One
Okay.
Punch Man. I love him because of the
I
way
don't-
the
I-
story's
he's
written.
good.
It's a complete
I wouldn't put him
and
up there at all,
beautiful
though.
comedy anime. Gagging and crapping on all the shonen tropes we know and love, people look at Saitama very narrow-mindedly and two-dimensionally. A lot of people just see him as the funny character that the anime uses to get its gags across, and while that's absolutely correct, and Saitama does a phenomenal job about that, that would not put him on this list. If you look at Saitama as an individual character and as a human being, god damn, do I love him. Think of the freaking implications of this. A guy that only wants to be strong, so he becomes strong, and then only wants a challenge. But because of becoming so strong, he will never have that challenge to face. Think of the mental dilemma he faces every day. Think of the life of solitude and futility he has. He's not a person that cares solely about the well-being of others like we see very often in mostly shonen-type anime. He's not. He's a normal human being. Yeah, sure, he doesn't want the world to explode, but at the same time, he wants enjoyment in his life. And
yeah, the world exploding
he rushes to
would be pretty
supermarkets
bad.
for sales and takes his time up with meaningless things to keep his mind off the he's seeing in his life. And obviously, he will be getting a full video.
Izuku is a pretty good main character.
Gag level, I love him. But looking at him at a personal level, within the gag anime, he's my 4th favorite anime main character of all time. Welcome to 3rd place, where we feature Sinbad from Magi. So now, before you say, well, Sinbad isn't really a main character, let's be fair, he is a main character. In the Magi anime, The Legends of Sinbad, he is the main character. Yes, he is not the main character of our perspective of Magi the Labyrinth of Magic, but that doesn't negate the fact that he is fully eligible for this list because this list at the end of the day is completely mine. Therefore, I would have had full right to include Lord Twigo.
My list would have Mikoto, who is similar situation.
We all know he
main character of a spin-off.
Unfair. I'm sure you were all thinking the same exact thing as to why Lord Twigo is not here. Badass moments aside, the fact that he's a complete genius character as far as his writing and his actual IQ in the series. Let's put aside all of his feats and all the reasons why we consider him badass and just look at his character's progression for a moment. He starts off in The Legend of Sinbad. He's a kid. Granted, he's a powerful one. He's the first dungeon capture, and he gets his djinn, and wow, he's OP. He beats everyone. Great. The point is, he is completely idealistic to a point of naivete in his outlook of the world.
Yeah, I know absolutely nothing about this show, by the way.
Every kingdom treats their subjects poorly.
Is it good?
He will create a kingdom that will encompass everyone, and everyone will live happily. Yes, completely idealistic and unrealistic, but that's the dream. Remember, he's like a 14-year-old kid in the adventures of Sinbad. He's a kid with a lot of power. He's a kid that's an extremely smooth talker that makes a lot of friends and crushes a lot of enemies, but he garners respect because with his whole heart, he means what he says. We don't know what happens in between, but we skip a lot of years to the Magi Kingdom of Magic and Magi the Labyrinth of Magic, where our path does not fully follow him, but it follows Aladdin, a fully idealistic character. Wow, where did we see that before? And Sinbad, who seems to be the same exact character as we are aware of from the Legends of Sinbad Magi. He's also a great guy, invites them into his home, seems to fight for justice for the most part. He's a really good dude, but he is not the same good dude in the slightest. He makes some really shady moves for political power, and despite the jovial, happy, inviting feller he is on the outside, there is a dark, scheming mind within that is actually potentially dangerous no matter how much you want him to be the main character of the story. He invited Aladdin and Alibaba into his country, but then again, his country really wanted a Magi, so was he really doing them a favor, or was he using them for his personal gain? I love Sinbad. I love everything about Sinbad. The way his character progresses is genius because idealism clashes with realism, and that births the Sinbad we know today. Fam, it gets way better in the manga. I am not spoiling anything. I'm not fully finished it yet, but I am so hyped to actually get there. I love Magi. Damn it, I'm so upset it doesn't have a 3rd season, and I'm so upset nobody talks about it. Guess I'll have no choice but to do so. 2nd place, Gatsu-san from Berserk. Well, I guess it's kind of an anime, because, like, 1997 was a decent anime, but read the manga! Best manga of all time. Do you know what you're missing? Well, you're missing guts, for one. The thing is, I don't know anyone who read Berserk that doesn't love guts. But at the same time, whenever I ask most of those people, why do you like guts? I kind of start fumbling for an answer. Yeah, he's badass. He's a complete beast. He forges forward to fight against his inevitable fate that's branded upon his neck, where despite the insane odds, he will push himself past his limits to destroy anything that stands in his way as he moves forward. Forward to where? It's not important. What's important is the direction, not the destination. And one of the reasons why he's one of my favorite main characters, as you can see, is in the title of my Guts analysis. To this day, my Guts analysis is the most extensive analysis video I've ever made, and it's in my 3 favorites with ease. The title is The Most Human Overpowered Main Character. Of course, that didn't stop a solid quarter of the comments on that video to say, what? How could you say that? Krillin's stronger than he is. Naruto's human. One Punch Man's human. How can you say he's the most human overpowered character? Guys, the title is Most most human overpowered character, not most overpowered human. I
That's
just
an
really
important
needed
distinction.
time to say that because it's been bothering me. There is something beautiful as far as making characters in anime or in any fiction as human as possible, to the point that they could feel real. You want to hear examples of humans that don't feel human? Well, for the most part, they're the overpowered ones. You got Krillin, you got Naruto, you got One Punch Man. One of those three characters I love, one I like decently, and the other one I'm relatively indifferent to. But at the same time, I'm not praising each of them for their humanity. Guts is the most human overpowered character because the way we experience the trauma he's gone through and continues to go through just feels so real. But again, I can't summarize right now what I said in 26 minutes in my other video, especially because that's one of the tightest scripts I've written as well. I try not to add fluff, and there is no fluff in there. It's 26 minutes of analysis, and I will probably forever be proud of that video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you check it out, I will link it in the description, and I will link it in the end cards in the last 20 seconds of the video. The word badass was not used as well, referring to anyone or anything in comparison to using the word badass for Guts. Now, I wasn't really planning on doing an honorable mentions. I'm just kind of throwing a few names out right here because I was feeling bad that they're not on the list. So if I miss anyone,
okay, so
the names I'm about
more
to mention
ponies.
are not on my script. Lelouch from Code Geass,
Yeah.
total badass. I love him. Shidoway from Log Horizon, the underrated mastermind. Spike Spiegel from Cowboy
Spike
Bebop.
is awesome.
That triggered you because it was pronounced wrong. You're a freaking loser, by the way. Okabe Rintaro from Steins
Okabe should
Gate,
be on the
the
list.
Mad Scientisto. Son of a bitch. Vash the Stampede from Trigun, a complete opposite character to Kiritsugu, which is fascinating. Edward Elric from Furumeteru Alchemist Brotherhood, a character I personally like to call Shrimple. Everyone loves him. Simone from Gurren Lagann. The word character development is made for someone like him. Yato from Noragami, also underappreciated awesomeness. Light Yagami from Death Note. I like his implications on the story more than I actually like his individual character. And
Yeah.
Alucard from Hellsing
Alucard's
Ultimate,
cool.
because, well, it's Hellsing Ultimate. So with those honorable mentions out of the way, my favorite main character in all of anime is Gintoki Sakata, the white demon from Gintama. So while I loved all the characters I mentioned in the honorable mentions, in the top 10,
A lot of characters I don't
especially
know.
in the top 5, there was no competition that Gintoki was going to take first place. He is literally emotionally personified anime me, and I feel like a lot more people feel that way as well. It's not my personal individualistic take on life.
Not familiar with the top
Breaking
3.
comedy gold and intense, really dramatic moments aside, I love everything about his core personality, and that's why he will be getting a very thought-out, relatively long video in the, I would like to say near future, but, well, I'm working on way too many videos at one time to actually be able to accurately predict any of this stuff. He has the moments where he's passionate about something and he chases that to the full, and then he has a lot of moments where, due to circumstances surrounding him, he's bored, and he uses his boredom to the full. I don't use the word perfect very often, but for me, Gintoki is perfect. Whammon and Gentle Whammon, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for 300,000 subscribers. It's a pretty ridiculous milestone, and I'm really blown away that it actually happened. Fam, love you guys. I genuinely think you're awesome, and I will say this every milestone thingo because you're the best community in AniTube. The memey, cringy, assholey stuff in the comments always brightens my day. Whenever I have nothing to do, it makes
Gotta
me
love that.
smile to look
Gotta
at
love
the comments
Homura,
on
too.
any of my videos. Except for the honest descriptions on the Hokage, by the way. Worst comment section
Oh.
of all of my videos. Half the comment section is asking me to make honest descriptions on the Hokage. Of course. The fact that I see you guys calling yourself the fan base, cringy as that name is, really makes me happy. It makes me genuinely thrilled to see fan base members, you know, doing their meme trolly stuff anywhere on the internet. I have other YouTubers that I talk to. They call my fan base the fan base because of your awesomeness. Legit, I appreciate every single one of you guys. And I genuinely, with my whole heart, thank you for 300,000 subscribers. Thank you for being weird and try to stay weird. On to 400K. And then the world! Okay, maybe not. Maybe I'm slightly over-exaggerating. You know what I mean. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!
Well, there we go. All right. So, yeah, that was an interesting list. I really appreciated what he said about Kiritsugu, just as such a fan of that character. though it's kind of weird when I don't know the top three. I mean, I've heard of them. I've heard of Guts, and I've heard of Gintama. I didn't know the guy's name, but I've heard of the anime. I've never seen it, and yeah, I don't know, but yeah, Kiritsugu. That was a pretty cool inclusion. And Homura, I never really thought about her as the main character. I mean, it makes sense. It is her story ultimately, but at the same time, it's not. At the same time, it's Madoka's story. I think. I mean, Homura is the impetus for it. But it's Madoka's ascent. It's her journey to accepting and making the decision she does. So I think it could work either way, really. And it is largely told from her perspective as well, so there's that as well. But I guess the perspective character and the main character aren't necessarily always the same, though that's a interesting question. Yeah, I don't know, but definitely. I mean, I appreciate the inclusion. Homura is amazing character. All of Madoka Magica, if you haven't seen it, is amazing. It's a short series. It's only like 13 episodes, or is it 12? I forget. But either way, it's short. You should watch it. Just my favorite anime of all time, and I'm glad to see it get recognized here. Yeah, all in all, pretty good list, I think. I mean, he does seem to have fairly similar taste to mine, with the inclusion of Kiritsugu and Homura and some other characters I enjoyed. I mean, Lelouch almost made it, and yeah, Okabe in the honorable mentions. So a lot of characters, and Spike, a lot of characters I brought up were there. Just there were a lot of other characters from stuff I haven't seen. So maybe I'd really like those characters. Though maybe not always. I mean, Kazuma I like, but I'm not like really crazy about his character. In fact, he's like, yeah, the least of the four main characters in that show. He's the one I care about the least. So I wouldn't really put him on my list. And Saitama, yeah, it was fine. I mean, I kind of like what they're doing a little bit, but it's just it didn't work for me quite as much as it does most people, I guess. One Punch Man. Yeah. Oh, and Joseph, that was another one. Yeah, definitely my favorite JoJo so far, and I think for a lot of the same reasons that he brought up. So, cool. Yeah, that I like too. Yeah, there we go. Interesting list. And Nux Taku, he seems like a pretty cool guy. So I'm glad to watch another of his videos. And I would definitely watch more if more get requested. So there we go. Hope you liked the reaction. Let me know if you did. And see you in the next one.